I'm a man who believed that I died 20 years ago, and I live like a man who is dead already. I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Gary Webb. I am an investigative journalist, and in 1996 I wrote a series of stories entitled Dark Alliance, which was about CIA involvement in drug trafficking.
I knew a man who once said death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back.
We're both in skull and bone, the secret society. It's so secret we can't talk about it. What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go on.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the rest.
Number 322.
I sad duty to report this afternoon that my friend and colleague, Tim Russert, collapsed and died early this afternoon.
I may die in this cell tonight or in the arena tomorrow. I am a slave. What possible difference can I make?
And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
What's up? Welcome to another Already Dead, your favorite weekly parapolitical conspiracy call-in show, whatever you want to call it. You can pick whether you're talking to your mom or telling your schizo uncle, you take your pick which word you want, parapolitical or conspiracy, but we dabble in both. Today we have a guest with us, Doc Inferno. As always, I have my great co-host, Austin Picard. But yeah, Austin just dropped a big load on us, another 4-hour... If he starts adding moving pictures to it, we can just straight up call them documentaries at this point, I think. So, cool. Yeah, we got another banger dropped by Austin. I'm only about halfway through it already. So, but yes, Austin dropped a big old Columbine episode. But yeah, and we have Doc joining us, Doc Inferno, who's joined my show. He came on for an 09A 764. I guess you could almost call it a refresher, since it's been a while since I covered it on my show. And then we also did an episode, episode on the Years of Lead, and I think we're going to make that into a whole series. So we'll have him coming on for later episodes. I brought on Doc this week. Funny enough, I actually had someone hit me up. Kind of was like, I don't know if you heard this about Doc. And we'll get into this, and then I looked into this stuff, and it's funny enough, the stuff Doc had already told me about before, and but we'll talk about all that. I dug into it. Apparently, you have been kicked out of the lefty parapolitical spaces already, so we'll address all that, because I figured, hey, whatever, I already have people coming to me about it, we'll address it. But Doc, go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience. I don't know, let them know if there's anything you feel like I might have left out. Obviously, I know we're kind of newer acquaintances, so I by no means am vouching for every little thing about you, because obviously we're kind of, I feel like today the almost the focus of conversation is like, I guess almost the concept of like Fed jacketing. Are you a Fed? Am I a Fed? Is he a Fed? Are we all Feds? Like, it's kind of it's that, like, that's kind of the root of the conversation, because you have been forced out of lefty spaces for, I guess, what they would probably be. Maybe not. They may not literally think you're a Fed, but like something like some sort of, I don't know, bad actor, I guess would be the way they could characterize it, to give them good faith there. But I don't know, from the outside looking in, from me looking to it, all looks a little bit silly. But we'll address all that. Doc, who are you? And who's your daddy and what does he do? No, I'm just kidding. But
Okay. Well, my name is Doc Inferno. Basically, I run a stream podcast, and also I am a private investigator, delving and going into the inferno of the internet to investigate all of the machinations of the deep state and the internet, and what and the darker reaches of humanity. looking into all of these various different things. I cover parapolitics, apocalypticism, and crime. That's pretty much my MO.
Yeah.
And I want to address also the whole allegations and all this. So basically, like 4 or 5 years ago, I fell into an unfortunate, you could say, rabbit hole of the far right online. I did a couple far right. I did a couple far right, basically podcasts. Got involved with like the online far right community, and I also along the way, and it's a very complex story. I'll actually cover it eventually, probably by writing a book or I don't know, writing like a Substack or anything. So I made acquaintance with the parapolitical community mainly as wanting to share a lot of my insight into the far right and into far right, the internet, and saying that I think that I have some common ground with you people. I think the CIA is fake and gay. I think that politics are kind of fake and gay. I think a lot of this stuff is being orchestrated, and the far right largely is something that I think is meant to entrap a lot of people. And so I agree with a lot of what the people, but the problem is, I think, is there's a little bit of divider between the far left and the far right, in that a lot of people are scared if you bring someone on with a past such as mine that they're going to contaminate their audience, and their audience is going to all of a sudden turn into fascists or Nazis and etc. And that's sort of the problem. And quite personally, I want to shake off. I'm not I first want to address, everyone calls everybody a Fed online. There's really no way to affirm whether somebody is or isn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't really mean much of anything. Both sides do it. The far left does it. The far right does it. And I want to say also that
we've both been accused by Feds in this very live chat.
Listen, I've done activism. I've done activism on the far left since my teens. And all of a sudden, like for a couple of years, like I decided that I got tired of some of the woke culture and some of the
in the blacks
sort of. Oh, come on! I don't want to get the racial stuff.
All right, I'm sorry. It's big. I couldn't help it. It was an easy joke. You tossed it up. I slapped it down. Go on.
No, I'm just saying. I just got tired of just the overabundance of identity politics in the far left, and I said, I thought that we were for the proletariat. We were for like the proletariat for the working class. And that includes everybody in America. It doesn't just include one sector of people. And I started saying like there's these individualist groups within certain political spectrums that want to pull politics in their favor. And so I got frustrated with it, and I just said, fuck it. If you're going to call me this, I'm going to be it. And I do regret, by the way, I'm not cucking. I'm just saying I do regret that choice because I did fall into some very unfortunate circumstances online, which kind of just strengthened my parapolitical, fortitude, I would say. In many cases, I have experienced what a lot of parapolitical people wish they would have experienced. A lot of people think they're just digging into like reading about Gladio or reading about this, that, there's vans following them. No, they're not. They don't care about you. I hate to burst your bubble, bro. I'm not like insulting anybody, but I'm saying I have experienced all of this stuff personally. And they can't take that away from me. They can put dirt on my name. They can throw dirt on my name. They can say all kind of things about me. But the thing is, where is the evidence? I did a couple podcasts that were, I interviewed a couple extremists, and that's all I did. I didn't try to interfere with anybody's parapolitical community or try to like push far right ideals into parapolitical spaces. That's all I did. So
yeah,
that's it.
No, that's fair. And for the purposes, I guess my audience is probably already rolling their eyes. Kind of the not being cucked. That's kind of where our audience is here a little bit. So I don't think I doubt they care. I mean, obviously, I think I would assume most of our audience thinks those ideals are dumb, but at the same time, we think it's more like just like the idea that you're like, oh no, like you once believed this, or I don't know, this like weird like shaming almost. But long story short, from what I saw of this is you did tell me about this when I had you on. You kind of make allusions or something. I don't remember exactly what you said, but I was just kind of like, whatever. I mean, I don't really care. And then I did have a one of, and this is no shade to whoever it was. Some fan of the show hit me up and was like, I don't know if you've heard about Doc, but here's this, and I was kind of surprised that it was even, especially after watching this. So there is a podcast. You went on the farm which I guess they're like
Correct.
a semi-decent size. I'm not trying to throw any slack. I've listened to them a couple times. They have some good shows.
It has well, first of all, I want to say that no shade on Steven or the farm, because like I greatly respect that platform and I greatly respect him as a researcher and also as a podcaster. But he does have a very extremely progressive and far left audience, and that's fine. I mean, I'm not trying to throw shade on that. If you want to be a far left and you want to be progressive, I think that's your right, as an American citizen, to have those types of views. And I'm not going to throw shade on you. I'm just saying a lot of those people try to gatekeep. I'm not saying he does, but a lot of his audience tries to gatekeep, and a lot of everybody
it definitely came off as gatekeep. I just want to show what it looked like to me. It was like probably a 20-30 minute podcast from the farm where they broke down. I guess you'd gone on there before, and so I did listen to it just because I'm like, I don't know, maybe there's something crazy in there that I should be aware of. I usually feel gay whenever there is this sort of situation where like, oh, did you hear about so-and-so and having to do, and he sort of just feels weird, but I was like, whatever, who knows? Maybe there's like kid diddling or something wild in there I don't know about. May as well look into it, especially when I saw it was only like 20 minutes. I watched it, listened to the whole thing, and there was nothing crazy in there that I heard, any claims. Now, I guess you got doxxed online by somebody, I don't know the specifics of all that, and so it
was other far right people that did that. That entire thing was done by far right people, and it's probably, to be quite honest with you, it's probably other far right people that are adjacent to your show that are really into like Daddy Hitler worship. That probably don't like me because I don't like Nazis or outright fascist in many cases. And the same thing, I don't like the excessive kind of progressive identity politics either. I will say to people, I am a Marxist. So what? Deal with it.
Yeah, and so you are, and I'm fine with that. I don't give a shit. But I do think there is something funny to this, that from my perspective, it did genuinely look like, I was expecting some big bombshell through the podcast, and everything I heard is that they're like, this guy at one point swam in, I guess, what they considered alt-right, or I don't know the specifics or whatever, but kind of racialist circles, and then you no longer did so.
No, I gave it up because it was retarded.
Yeah, so you had a different, and so from their perspective, they're like, oh no, we might be letting in a Nazi, we might be, so to me, it is very much gatekeeping, and it is this thing that the left is kind of mind-broken on. It's funny, the Graham Plattner story I've been covering a lot recently, and I think is kind of a good insight into that. I feel like the Nazi thing buried the lead on the whole story. When you dig into the Graham Plattner guy, he's a dude that went to a $75,000 a year prep school, worked for Blackwater, did all these other glowy stuff, and he has these like Nazi tattoos, and people get lost on the Nazi, and meanwhile, like, this dude's probably doing some sort of Gladio type shit or something. Like, I mean, obviously that's super speculative, but it's like all this, there's just as much symbolism for that as there is for Herder Nazi, and it's just mind gets broken. But anyways, I just wanted to address all that. I don't want to get stuck down in there because
let's not bog down. But I just want to say one more thing before I go. And I think the reason why a lot of this stuff exists, and I want to say to the parapolitical community, I've already told you I renounce like any things you've associated me with, and I've already renounced that entire thing. You can dig, FOIA, all into me. I don't have a glowy past, okay? And if you think I do, then I don't know. I don't know what to say to you. You can say that about anybody. But I am controversial. And but I came into the parapolitical community with pure intentions. I went on the farm. You can listen to my episodes. They are bangers. They are stellar. To my knowledge, me and Steven are still friends. And I have no ill words to say about him. And that's all I want to say about that as far as that goes.
I will throw in there on ill words, and this is just me. This obviously isn't Austin. This isn't Doc. I will say immediately when I dug into this and I found out the guest was Glenn the Golden. This is I'm not going to go into, this guy fucking sucks. I'll just go ahead and say that dude fucking sucks.
I don't have, that's not me. That's not me.
That is me. I will say it unequivocally me. I've had other exchanges with him. He fucking sucks. He is the idiot. He's is a stupid fucking lefty idiot who does the stupid fucking like Nazi shit. Like anybody with the slightest bit of jokingly Nazi, anything slightly racist, anything, they're a Nazi, and he then starts connecting dots. How then he has Nazi friends. He literally is that idiot. He's that idiot.
I'm just gonna say, in many cases, you'll discover a lot of like what Americans do, not just the left. They like to morally extort people. And so they learn how to morally extort probably from their parents and from their church and from
he's that guy
really being steeped into Christianity. So a lot of this is what families do to one another. They morally extort. So then they transfer this over to the online world. So instead of like having dialogues about things, and really honestly, a lot of it is just about let's just be honest. A lot of like far left people, far right people, they want to cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. They want to guard their audience. And like I said, if you are so strong in your beliefs, you're a Marxist, right? And this only shade I will throw on a lot of Twitter Marxists is they don't know their praxis. They don't know anything about Marxism, and they think liberalism and progressive politics are all Marxism. That's not Marxism. Karl Marx, go read his writings. They were very spicy. To a lot of the people that talk about Che Guevara's sus, well, Karl Marx is sus. Go read his writings. I mean, I'm not kidding. Go read his writings. Go read Bakunin's writings. Go read all the people's writings. You'll discover they're a lot more spicy than most of the people in the modern day world. And then with that said, I love everybody. Doesn't matter your sexual orientation, your race, or whatever. I live in America. It's a trauma factory. I want to solve and resolve it. That's it.
All right. That's a lot of words to say. I'm a Nazi. Just kidding. Anyways, we're getting off that. So I did want to address it, so it's been addressed. No one could say we haven't addressed it. Hey, if you guys do find some damning information on Doc that I would, I guess, let me know. But as of right now, it seems pretty all fake and gay to me. But by the way, phone lines are open. 1-833-722-DEAD. That's also, was at 3323, I believe. Call in, tell us. We have Doc with us, like I said. Let's say with the current 09A 764 stuff blowing up, kind of the occult, Gladio, all these different things. If you have any questions along those lines, these are all things that tie into stuff going on right now. And these are things up Doc's wheelhouse. If you have any questions, feel free to call in. Hang out the second half of the show in about 30 minutes or so. We'll open up the lines to our patrons so they can join the chat as well. But Austin, you did the Columbine dig, and you've I've only about halfway through, so I haven't finished it. But we talked a little bit last week, obviously, but you found lots of occult tie-ins, and so it looks like lots of parallels from that stuff till now. Like, as fucked up as it is, I was re-listening to the Columbine stuff, and even some of the like humor, as fucked up as it was, I was like kind of laughing, and then realizing like, oh, this is actually really fucked up shit happening. And then, but at the same time, it's like modern day, like 764 type of humor, like these sort of things.
Yeah, it was very strange going through that as far as just reliving those moments. And at least, there's definitely witness statements claiming that the shooters were saying these things as they were, engaging in the act. But yeah, it was very interesting just to kind of like, I don't know, come face to face with the morbid reality of what it really was in a certain sense, which I think is, at a certain level, I definitely, whenever I was going through Danny Rohrbaugh and as far as like the claims of one of the Columbine victims, I believe was, the third potential victim as far as just the kind of order, right, of things, but there was a dispute over where exactly he was killed, because there was essentially a sheriff's deputy that was one of the first on the scene and witnessed another sheriff's deputy essentially shoot him down right as he exited the school and fled the school, and so we legitimately have evidence of like even video footage of the SWAT unit that came in, which is supposed to be at least 7 minutes after Dylan and Eric allegedly committed suicide, and they're just firing blindly underneath into the cafeteria underneath the desks where the kids were the at least trying to hide, right? The last remaining kids that had not yet fled or been evacuated. But anyways, it's very strange how much is actually on the record, but yeah, dude, there's just so many different directions in terms of that narrative. And I will say that I feel a little bit, let's say, I don't want to say out of touch with reality, but it at a certain point when you get that close to a case from 25 years ago, right? It's just like you kind of have to unplug from the current moment, and I think that's not that I haven't been paying attention, but at the same time, I do feel like it's necessary, right? Whenever you're trying to view something in this objective way as much as possible, but also exhaust every last resource you can, discover. But yeah, I was ultimately just overall, I felt overwhelmed by the end of it, and there's kind of like this tipping point when I get to the end, and I'm very grateful, honestly. That's every time I get finished with one of these, I have an overwhelming sense of gratitude, and I think that's more so due to the fact that it brings you, like I said privately when I was talking to Doc and Jacob before you got here, I was just saying that at the end of the day, we were discussing kind of the black pill concept, and I definitely feel like it ultimately comes down to a choice, right? And I definitely choose to course correct into a positive place where I remind myself of what matters most, and I reprioritize, right? And it kind of brings me into, that's why I feel like maybe I feel that sense of gratitude, and because otherwise you do ultimately spiral into darkness at a certain level, and if you don't just manufacture and also consistently, I think make sure that defense mechanism is properly in place, and in a position where you won't necessarily fall into that trap. So anyway, but I appreciate listening to it, brother. Honestly, I hope by the end of it, I get into the Sikh temple shooting and Wade Michael Page and these phenomenal, connections that are just like, I'm talking. I did not realize Confessions of a DC Madam and Harry Vinson and Craig Spence would make an appearance in the Columbine episode, but they definitely did. And anyway, we can get into that in a moment. But
well, you mentioned Todd Blodgett,
Yeah,
and
buddy.
that kind of provoked my memory because he's also connected to sort of these white supremacist type of organizations like William Pierce, Willis Carto. Willis Carto is interesting because Willis Carto has an entire network going back to the World Anti-Communist League and into Gladio, and with people like Roger Pearson. Now, you'll be surprised. People like Roger Pearson's not a name that many people know, but he's actually connected to people like Steve Saylor. These same people like Steve Saylor have connections to the NRX, Peter Thiel, Bronze Age pervert, and into like the whole entire internet milieu, which is kind of what I research, is sort of the these entities that are on the internet that are vying for like influencers that are like influencing a lot of the younger people, and especially it seems very pronounced in the alt-right or the far right, as opposed to, like I said, the leftist spaces. But it seemed like that Todd Blodgett's like a name you brought up, and I just remembered all that. He was connected to William Pearson, Resistance Records, and that whole entire hole.
That's how
I
it
do
comes up.
recommend, by the way,
Yeah.
going down that rabbit hole, because that rabbit hole is you'll be surprised. In that Sikh shooter, another guy connected to Rock Against Communism, and
Oh,
probably
yeah, buddy.
Resistance Records too, I bet.
Yep. Yeah. So that's the entire chapter it's essentially just getting into the details of all the different connections. Honestly, what's fascinating to me is I had no real understanding prior to this that Wade Michael Page was from Colorado, And by the way, he goes to Fort Bragg after he enlists into the Army, and he becomes a psychological operations specialist. And then he just so happens, after he receives a few years of training as a psychological warfare specialist or operations specialist, he inevitably receives some sort of Timothy McVeigh sheep-dipped style, general discharge for allegedly violating the conduct policy by being drunk on base while he was on duty. And and it seems as if this is when he gets assigned his handlers, and he's getting the financing and funding from this very obvious clandestine area, because there's no understanding how he was able to kind of move around the country as he did. But as soon as he leaves Fort Bragg, he gets the discharge in 98, and he moves to Littleton, right? Legitimately 4 miles from Columbine, 4 miles from the Blackjack Pizza, and 6 miles from Eric Harris's house. He's directly affiliated to the Trenchcoat Mafia and the Western Hammerskins. And this is all coming through this festival network that reminded me of Waco, right? When Tim McVeigh's moving around and going to all the gun shows. It's the same thing that who are the adult pizza delivery drivers from Blackjack Pizza that are affiliated with, this local sort of white supremacist organization that ties into the Brotherhood of the White Temple and the White Eagle Underground.
Yes.
And yeah, man. And then it seems like those are the individuals who arranged for the guns to be purchased at the gun show or sold to Dylan and Eric.
One thing I didn't think about with the Blackjack Pizza, one thing I never thought about when I first conceptualized, when you mentioned the Blackjack Pizza thing, I was thinking about how I remembered how they were always attached, usually like kind of a smaller component of a convenience store. And I don't know what it was that I was watching some video the other day, and they were talking about the incredible amount of people who but go missing on like major highways, because it's like and the thing being, and they're talking about like liminal spaces, particularly is transitory areas that people don't really stay regularly. Like it doesn't really have, it's not a normal place. It's like you're only coming through there if you're traveling wide distances, so you're not at all familiar completely. And so it's like, and the people there are not like, it's not like it's like it's kind of like if you go to like Vegas, so like a town will just pop up. Like this isn't organic. And so it's like, my point being is there are all these transitory, or these liminal spaces, what they're called. And something like a Blackjack Pizza, which is either usually like a kind of like a kiosk type thing in like a strip mall or something, or are like attached to smaller, shittier convenience stores that are like the kind of places that'll pop up in the middle of fucking nowhere. It's like, if you are looking for some sort of op sort of thingy, it's like, there you fucking go. I mean, we've talked before about the Sicilian connection with where they run the heroin out of the fucking pizza places. But it's like, I guess if you have a conception of like more of a liminal spaces version of a pizza place, as opposed to your old timey conception as like a kind of a restaurant or something, or a takeout type place in a more commercial type of side of town, I don't know. It gives you a different view on the situation, I think. I don't know.
Absolutely. But
maybe I'm reaching, but I was just like, I didn't really think about that component of it. Like, oh, what a good cover, like for something like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you know what's even more strange about all of that is that the local faction of the Trenchcoat Mafia in Littleton was essentially meeting at Blackjack Pizza as well, which is very interesting. And those individuals were like, the previous owner of that shop had blown up a pipe bomb, or no, actually it wasn't a pipe bomb. It was a shit. I'm trying to remember now what kind of bomb he had made, but he had blown it up in the bathroom. And this is like the prior owner of the Blackjack Pizza restaurant that still was involved in ownership of another local one, but also knew Eric and Dylan personally. But the strange aspect of that, as far as like that plays into that, is essentially, one, you have Wade Michael Page. If you look up a picture of this guy, essentially he. When he committed the Wisconsin Sikh temple shooting, he basically he was bald with a goatee. And so we have specifically 40 over 40 people in the public court documents that in regard to Columbine that have made a very similar description of this seventh older adult male Columbine shooter who was identified as having been bald with a goatee, right? Which I thought was very interesting, because then there's also a strange connection to Aurora, because he just so happens to vanish, right? According to his girlfriend, Misty Cook, I believe was her name. And so she was like 31 years old at the time. And she made a statement before she was essentially put into protective custody, and they silenced her because she was making statements. And there was even a researcher who was inevitably killed after claiming he was being set up. Florida police like gunned him down, and he was making all of these various connections between the Sikh temple shooting and another shooting at a spa. And then he was also trying to get into direct contact with Misty Cook, with the girlfriend of Wade Michael Page, and then he gets he apparently gets gunned down by Florida police. And so this is all very interesting to me, because the very same Corbin Dates was that individual witness that was in the theater in Aurora. And he described the exact same thing, right? A bald man with a goatee was with James Holmes that night. And then also there was another indication that he had prior at least been sort of swimming, or at least hanging out with this bald individual prior to the event itself, because there was a case where a witness claimed that James was outside of his residence, like on the street, right? And he's essentially just running, like he's just jogging with this bald guy with a goatee. And so anyway, it's just very interesting that he happens to disappear 2 days before the cinema shooting, and then he resurfaces after. So he vanishes, according to his girlfriend, and then he resurfaces in Wisconsin, right? And he's basically he gets this apartment for like $100 a week, I think it was, and he legally obtains like a 9mm handgun or something, and then he practices firing it in the basement of a gun shop. And anyway, the point being is that he had an upstairs neighbor leading up to the Sikh temple shooting in Wisconsin, after he kind of up and vanished. And this woman claimed, and it's very interesting as well, that this downstairs neighbor was a psychiatric nurse. I have to say that. And but she's the only witness that's essentially sort of one of the only witnesses that are a neighbor of Wade Michael Page at the time. And so it looks like he had one other visitor. There was only one visitor that he had leading up to the shooting, and it happened to be a pizza delivery driver, which I thought was very strange. And so you never know how these operations are greenlit. And I definitely think so much of Columbine was actually the planning, and the plot itself was sort of devised at Blackjack Pizza in many ways. Not only Blackjack Pizza, I think definitely local trenchcoat mafia, properties in the area as well, which were party houses used as recruiting tools, where adult leaders of the upper echelon membership of the TCM that had actually taken the blood oath and had cut their forearms as the ritual, which I also fucking found out. And then I'll shut up and let you talk, Doc. But I swear, this was very strange to me. It seems like there's a potential reality where once a Manchurian or an individual who has prior programming and is waking up to certain layers of their programming, then essentially they have a fail-safe in that they insert into the programming at a certain layer, and this will trigger the Manchurian to self-harm, to eliminate the I guess returning memory, which is very interesting as far as I was concerned, as just psychologically, strategically, it's a very strange aspect, but it makes a lot of sense concerning just the idea of how you program a Manchurian candidate and the triggering the various layers of the programming, which will then obviously, But anyway, it's very strange, and there's so much more to that, and I'll get into Todd Blodgett later, but. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Say, Doc.
Basically, I want to confirm some of what you say with the programming and the sort of what I call imprinting. I witnessed a lot of this stuff online in Discords and Telegrams and various other places, and this actually has a precedent, and actually does have a connection back to Columbine, believe it or not. Back in 2015 or 2016, there was a forum called Iron March. Iron March was a fascist forum, and there was a woman on there at the time. I believe she was a teenager by the name of Lindsay Savannarath. Lindsay Savannarath had a Tumblr page which she commiserated the Columbine shooters. She started this whole, and the subculture pre-existed before her, and so like they sort of were the people who foreshadowed a lot of the stuff that you see with the 764. The other stuff with the trauma. I believe a lot of that stuff is trauma imprinting, and a lot of it goes back to, as you said. One thing interesting also about the Columbine thing also is that Dylan Klebold and they were all into online activity too. They designed a Doom game, which Scope says this is a urban legend, but it's not. They probably were communicating with people, handlers on IRC. That was like the common type of instant messenger back in the 90s. And they were probably, planning this all out, and they probably had help from other people. And this aspect of Columbine, I think, is ignored by a lot of researchers for all these purposes. And if you notice afterwards, a lot of military drills started really priming people for the whole school shooting phenomena. Now, this was not new to America. This there was a school shooting that existed prior in 1997 by, I believe, in Pearl, Mississippi. So like this stuff was sort of already forecasted, and it was already in the consciousness of so fast forward later, we have these weird things on the internet now, these self-harm groups, like the Blue Whale Challenge. You got which a lot of 6696 stuff looks exactly like the Blue Whale Challenge. A lot of it is like just bizarre and weird, and it goes all the way back. You got the Elsa Gate stuff as well that everyone has forgotten about in memory hole, maybe for good reasons and for good purposes. So it does seem like there was a concerted effort to target people online. And I think a lot of it also is self-perpetuating, in that I think they sift for sociopathic people. They like going into these really extreme political circles, especially the far-right circles, Discord, and a lot of these places, because they want to find people that are perpetuates and do a lot of their bidding, and will commit to these like rituals, as you say. And they were doing probably the same thing with like stuff like the Satanic Panic, implementing like trauma onto people and passing it along to people, and just trying to find this big trauma chain. So that's the only thing that I can theorize from a lot of this stuff that's going on, that's being perpetuated. That's a lot of what they're doing.
I was thinking. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to want to jump in. You were mentioning the kind of almost the old school instant messenger days, and kind of how perhaps we could have been seeing the early signs of some sort of Fed, online Fed infiltration of some sort. And we're literally seeing exactly that right now. We have someone in the chat pointing out Lance Twiggs allegedly connected to Robin Westman. Now, I don't know about that connection, but I don't know if either of you have dug into the latest news. Now, I do find this to be extremely dubious, and I'm kind of reluctantly covered it, because if anything, I feel like it almost shouldn't even have really been covered in the way it's been covered, because apparently, the way this story has unfolded is this was essentially someone got in contact with some huge YouTuber, and from there they gave them a ton of screenshots of group chats and Turkey Tom. And I covered it on this morning on my morning show. I went over the fucking article, whatever the hell it's called. What are they called? What are those places? The Substack. So I covered a Substack article this morning. It seems to be. Now, I say it's dubious because it's held up on Turkey Tom. This guy confirmed his connection supposedly behind the scenes. So it's kind of very much held up on Turkey Tom Said So. And then only things that sort of corroborate is that this guy provided larger versions of screenshots that we had received before in previous reporting, particularly one that we got from Ken Klippenstein. So, and I know a lot of people like to throw shade on Ken Klippenstein being like, how the fuck's he joining the spot all the time? I don't have strong opinions. By the way, my point being is this is like, I guess someone could say, oh, 2 private sources, but you're like, I'm still very, very much hesitant to buy anything because this could be legit, but it matches up with something that could be legit, but it also the very same time is exactly what the powers that be would probably want it to be. But even then, with that, there is an opening with all the craziness. Apparently, he was creating little camp out sessions in his living room, making absolute like hoarding type stuff and doing weird scribing and doodling and all sorts of. And then there's like, I guess people have gone to the screenshots. Particularly, I guess a lot of people have gotten particularly really interested in some off-color. I guess you could dismiss them as jokes he had made years before. And then people use some of those like Google search things to show that like around that same exact time there were searches on him at like in specific areas. So it's like it looks like that would match up with like, oh, they're when I'm saying the searching, it was off of his specific username. So you're like, that's kind of a little bit more specific, his online username, and then it's like these law enforcement hotspots that are searching him up at those time around the same time he's making those jokes. So I'm like, I don't know. I mean, perhaps I've made some pretty awful jokes that like out of context would sound pretty fucking bad. So I don't know. I hesitate to jump on that too much, but right. So there's obviously there's the Patsy angle if he is off kilter or something like that, or there's just what do they call them, the UVEs or whatever the hell the new thing is, the NVEs, the nihilistic,
violent extremists.
Yeah.
Oh my
so
God,
that's the new thing. Yeah, because that's how their catch-all term for like the 764 type of thing. Because technically, all of these guys aren't literally 764.
They're not
a lot of these schools.
Yeah, they're really good at rebranding. Honestly, they really are. I have to say that it seems like reinforcing his programming at a certain level, right? Or whatever. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. Who knows? But I'm just speculating. But at the same time, it seems like it's plausible enough. And that was what I found so interesting about the claims and allegations surrounding Eric Harris and his mind control programming at Plattsburgh and the behavioral modification experimentation there, because not only was there like an element of one of the psychiatrists and scientists potentially sexually abusing him and traumatizing him, but as early as the age of 10 to 14 type of range, right? And as well as it was essentially this brand, this very, let's just say resurfacing and recycled brand of programming that I think our pattern recognition will recognize, and as far as just the, be able to identify. I think we lost Jose. Did he freeze up on us? But either way, we'll get him back. Are you back?
Okay. I'm right here. I just had my hand still.
Oh, you just had your hand in like the perfect spot, dude. I thought you were fucking frozen.
Yeah.
But okay, cool. But anyway, so I just thought it was, something so similar to what we've seen in the past. And that was, are you doing it now on purpose? Because
I'm intently listening. That's it. I'm just intently listening.
All right. I'll stop acknowledging it. I'm sorry. Okay. But anyway, but yeah, it was described as being, centered around this sort of satanic abuse angle, where it's kind of like a Luciferian context in terms of what they were implementing in the program's kind of layered symbolism as well, and this applies to the Montauk boys, right? Which I found to be interesting as well, and I think that many of the Montauk boys have a direct connection to Plattsburgh, which I didn't realize that, but anyway, but it seems to involve this cult ritualism aspect where they involve the symbolism, but they also practice and exercise occult rituals, and then they have this satanic form of psychosexual abuse that they implement on the boys, and then they also have this perfect recipe where they implement this just as far as like the obviously hypnotism is involved, and they'll put you in a trance state, but at the same time, so you're in a hypnotic trance, but you also have the chemical drug mind alteration aspect of of the manipulation or mind manipulation playing out, which includes this hypnotic trance induction through specific electromagnetic radio frequencies, which that seemed to be at least it seemed to apply to Eric by these various whistleblowers. One of them was a scientist from Plattsburgh who claimed he was in a moral dilemma and was ethically opposed to all of this and was witnessing, this abhorrent type of, sinister experimentation being conducted in the 18-layer underground subterranean, structure under the base. But anyway, I just thought that was worth noting because it seems to, right? They mentioned that it's extremely racist and neo-Nazi indoctrination as a part of this particular brand of programming. That's what hit me as I thought, okay, this definitely, if this is true, then it perfectly applies to so many other, examples and usual suspects, right? That just fit that profile to a T. And I do agree that I think there's so many different avenues of radicalization pipelines that have been perfectly entrenched and implemented in modern society. And that does apply to these online chat rooms and Discord groups and things of that nature. And I do think, and I was talking to Jacob about this privately the other day, I think, just about the idea or the concept of let's say you have a spook or some sort of handler or psychological operator, very much, let's say he's putting himself into a position where he creates a private Discord chat room, and then he lures in individuals who fit a certain profile that would be willing and suggestible enough, to take that bait. And then they find themselves in a private Discord room with some sort of psychological warfare, mind war operative. And then let's say he presents a few different clips or videos to this individual, which is layered and with subliminal messaging that could potentially, just, let's say, just trigger your subconscious mind and implement some sort of strange layered programming to a certain level, and then be reinforced by various strategic. You see what I mean? It's like that seems very plausible to me. I think.
Yeah, I'm just laughing because as you're saying that, I'm thinking about our Patreon group chat. That's like, there's literally one or one of the tabs is the fucking is the book club or whatever, and it's just a bunch of different downloadable books. There's literally like one of the books in there where I just was peering through there, like the kind of books that you find in our fucking library and our fucking group chat. Like literally, I think it was one of them was like the list of all the satanic ritual abuse by the Jews through the ages.
Oh man,
I love it, dude.
I disavow.
That is so funny.
There's like I think like instructions for how to build like 3D printing guns and all sorts of shit in there. There's probably illegal stuff. I don't know. I haven't really looked through all of it. I'm not uploading it. I don't care.
I love our people, man.
I disavow.
That's so funny. Oh, you know what? That reminds me.
By the way, I would watch that 3D printing guy. Whoever uploaded that, I would watch that dude. Not saying anything. Not throwing shit.
Oh,
I know it's legal and everything, but still.
Yeah.
You guys
know
about
get busted
that?
Yeah.
You guys know about that? Oh shit! What the hell, bro? Sorry.
You looking for something? It's about time for intermission anyway, so maybe we can. What's that?
Yeah, it just it's in regard to mind control, and basically, it was about the Derren Brown social experimentation on Manchurians, right? He's like this sort of illusionist, magician type of guy that did a lot of different, public tests, presentations and shit. It was in regard to like the context of recreating the idea that Sirhan was legitimately programmed as a Manchurian, and he could recreate an assassin. Right. And so it's a very interesting story, but we can talk about it after the break. Honestly,
let's present that after the break. We're going to be bringing on patrons. You can still call in. So call in here in a minute. We have one of our patrons ready to go. That'll join us, shoot the bull with us and Doc. If you want to be one of those beautiful people hanging out on there, then join either me or Austin's Patreon and support the homie. But with that, go take a leak. Go do whatever you got to do. We got a little intermission here. Hopefully it works this week. But yeah, sit here and enjoy this beautiful bean footage. I'll see you guys in a few minutes. We'll be back. Do not, well, you can go leave, but come back, you know. So, but yeah, see y'all. Love you.
Thanks for stopping. Some night, huh?
On this very night, 10 years ago, along this same stretch of road, in a dense fog, just like this, I saw the worst accident I ever seen. There was this sound, like a garbage truck dropped off the Empire State Building. And when they finally pulled the driver's body from the twisted, burning wreck, it looked like this.
Our fire's burning bright, pumpkin faces in the night. I remember Halloween, dead cats, hack a football, little dead around his road. I remember Halloween.
Exactly. And they've weaponized the border issue in every way. And that includes psychological mind war, you know, and as far as just the kind of like the techniques and I think the strategic nature of what they are hoping to achieve is very much just this you know, it's always a layered agenda where it's achieving multiple sort of dystopian outcomes at one time. And I think that that is where you know, I view the vast majority of the alternative media missing the boat. It makes no sense to me. I get how on the surface it feels so clown-pilled and ridiculous, right? And in so many different ways, it feels like we've crossed the Rubicon, right?
To focus a little bit on Satanism, kind of make that the theme today.
Right.
But there was a little bit of that vibe in Columbine. So tell me a little bit more about that. I think maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. I remember when I had Jolly on the show, I vaguely recall, and you talked about it a little bit before the show, there was like kind of a blood oath type thing, which for me, I remember in my head, I kind of characters that like that 90s, every 90s movie where he'd be like, oh, we're brothers now, and here's a blood pact, or I don't know, some like that kind of thing. It was just some sort of signification of them being close, but sounds to me maybe there's a little bit more of a darker, sinister aspect. This plays into the trench coat mafia, which is what kind of gets associated with these fellas. I know we had Marnamac on recently, and she was telling us she was actually in Columbine. She was kind of, if I recall correctly, kind of making it out like she doesn't remember it being a thing so far.
Wizard friends went straight to hell for practicing witchcraft. Yay!
All right, we're back. Let's bring on the patron and get the fuck into it. What's up, Shy?
What's up, brother?
What's going on, guys?
Not much. Glad to have you join us. We got other patrons in the back. You're welcome to join if you so choose to. But yeah, you got anything for us, Shy? You just want to hang out? I mean, I know Austin does have a little bit of Manchurian candidate info he can regale us on, but I don't know if you got something you want to bring to us. If you want to talk to Doc about something, whatever, what have you, I'll give you the start here.
Cool. No, I was just wanted to ask your guys' opinion if you guys have done any looking into this 3-eye atlas. You guys know anything about it?
That's the asteroid, right?
Correct.
No, it's the aliens, bro.
Yeah, it's for real. I don't know. Isn't that the one they keep saying that like they're like it moves weird? I'm pretty sure that's just one of those like scientisms. I haven't paid enough attention, so I'm mostly paying talking to my ass. But it looks like one of those ones where like those stories where it's like it's technically true, and so they're like, oh, it did something weird. And then some scientist made some comment like, I guess it could have been a UFO. And then everyone goes, oh my fucking God. Like, that's what it seems. But I don't know. I maybe there's something to it. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, no, there are several anomalies to it. But one of the interesting things is supposedly I heard, I haven't double checked it, but I heard that because of our government shutdown, that NASA, like the world, like all these different space stations around the world that are studying this, they're waiting on NASA to give them this certain information that they can't get. They don't have the instruments for it. But because of the shutdown, when it was just the closest to Earth, just like a day or two ago, NASA went blank and they didn't give out any information.
Huh.
That sounds like space porn to manufacture consent for government financing.
Can you imagine if the government did shut down for the Epstein files? It's so that they couldn't get the readings on the alien rock. Yeah. You guys heard we got Nibiru? Nibiru's like confirmed. We've got Nibiru's a thing.
Oh yeah.
Did you see? No, for real. We have a second moon now. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Oh yeah, I did see a report.
Yeah, we got a second moon. Nibiru is real, dog, and it's like the size of a building or some shit, I guess.
Is that the one we went to? Man, I don't believe that either.
And Nibiru.
That's what's up. Another quick thing I wanted to ask you guys about, like, when you guys went to school, back in the day, did you guys go to a school where it was like mandatory to do Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, for sure, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
I was in the Bible Belt.
So it was mandatory.
Yes, mandatory.
Yeah,
I remember one time. I was in second grade. I didn't want to stand up to the pledge and the flag, and I was forced to. And then like the teacher took me aside and gave me a spiel and a speech. But I told my dad was in the military, and they said, "Well, your dad's in the military. Stand up for that flag because you represent that flag. You know, because your dad's in the military." They gave me the whole moralistic sort of spiel about that. As like a second grader. So yeah, I grew up in a small town. Yeah.
I had the very same experience. I got in trouble for everything, so that was just the way it was. The back, in that area, it felt like. But it also seems the very same way with law enforcement because there's nothing to do, so they basically harass everyone in the town.
Oh yeah,
it's fucking crazy, man.
Yes.
But anyway.
Yeah, because I definitely exercised my right in plenty of times. Maybe not every single year in school, but several times because I knew very young for a lot of things. I knew that there was only so far they could push their will onto a minor. You know what I'm saying? And I knew that wasn't mandatory. There's no law that you have to stand up for to pledge your allegiance, and just the idea of pledging an allegiance, it sounds crazy. Allegiance, that's even like a serfdom term. A vassal would pledge.
Well, truthfully, I think America is a big plantation. To be honest with you. I like to call it a lot of people probably don't like this, but a lot of the patriotic people out there, I call it a Masonic shopping mall, basically.
Nice.
That's my term for America.
I like that. Yeah, hey. Everything is really just one big dystopian illusion. You know what I mean? Like it is very interesting how I'm beginning to view society at large and the sort of machinations of power and how they manifest themselves. Because I think the vast majority of what people seem to be focusing on is truly just misdirection. What is it really? How does it affect the bottom line in any real way other than reinforcing the conditioning and subservience to the state? Like, it's just disgusting to witness, but anyway, it makes me grateful that I don't, I feel like I'm somewhat, insulated from falling into those traps at times. You know what I mean? But anyway.
And just one more thing I wanted to add. So I've been thinking about this for a while, and I don't know if any of y'all listen to Candace Owens' thing today. I caught a little bit of it. And she mentioned about
don't start, dude. Don't start, Shy.
A lot of YouTubers being
I tried not to bring this up, dude.
Hey,
and there was something that just kind of did.
Hey,
like,
I'm with you, Shy. Candace is our queen. I'll stand for her.
No, I can't do it. Stop it, dude.
It was interesting that she, I've heard her shout out Ian Carroll just like very recently, and now she's mentioning this, but I'm waiting for her to start looking to Ian Carroll. That's gonna be a funny one because that motherfucker's a ghost.
Hey, by the way, that Tucker and Nick Fuentes episode, I saw somebody. I told Doc and Jacob this in the back. I saw someone tweet about that, and they said 2 feds walk into a podcast studio. I fucking thought it was perfect. It applies so well. But anyway, you saw that hilarious video that was what you were referencing, right? That portion of Jose, that portion of the conversation where they start pointing the finger. I thought you were a Fed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was pretty funny. I know. I watched the interview. It was a whatever. It was kind of a meh. It was an okay episode, but like
she didn't really say shit.
They never mentioned Nick Fuentes' connection to Joe Kent, who was a CIA guy. They never mentioned that at all.
They talked about it a bunch in the episode.
Did they?
Okay, okay. Yeah, they talked about it a bunch. Yeah, because that's like one of Tucker's big gripes with him. He's upset that Fuentes flamed Kent because Kent flagrant. I mean, I'm not a big I don't really have a bone in this fight, but it's from my understanding, Kent just literally disavowed Fuentes when they said he wasn't going to, and they were politically aligned, and that was hey, this is political games, and then he literally disavowed him after saying he wouldn't, and then he was kind of fuck this guy, and then he also pointed out this guy kind of fucking glows. Big time, and yeah. So, but yeah, they talked about it a lot, because it was really weird. There's this weird struggle session portion of the episode where Tucker kept few different people. They were like, well, why'd you attack them? And then he'd give a good reason, and then he'd be like, but so what? And you're like, well, that is the so what. I don't know. It was very weird. I don't know. It's almost this old school or political mindset of if you're on our team, we have to reserve any sort of reserve criticism because you're worried that'll affect political outcomes or something like that. But it's if someone literally fucked you over, it's well, I think that says something about them as a political actor, at least in regards to me as another political actor in this situation. You know what I mean? You're
now with the internet, we have basically extortion and blackmail on steroids, and that's pretty much what gives democracy its grease, is blackmail and extortion. And matter of fact, I think a bigger story actually is that we found out that sports ball is rigged. I mean, we always knew it was.
Oh yeah, dude.
Was it? I didn't hear it. Was there a story on that? That's how little I care about sports.
Oh, brother, there's a major NBA gambling.
Oh yeah, there was a gambling one. Yeah, that's right. It was fucking huge.
Dude, it's huge, dude. Oh, there's a member of the Gambino crime family who came out and went on the record saying that Chauncey Billups was being blackmailed to arrange these high stakes poker games. I was like, holy shit, this is the playbook. This is what I told Sam.
They're the ones that have all the rumors of doing wild shit, like NBA players. For some reason, NBA players, if you're talking about want to bang ladyboys, I don't know why. I don't know what it is, not specifically ladyboys, but just doing weird shit in general. I don't know what it is. NBA guys are always the one to get that reputation. I mean, I'm assuming other professional athletes do similar things, but for some reason, that's what you always hear about the NBA. So that does check out now you think about it. These guys are all blackmailed for doing fucking wild, weird shit.
Oh, for sure. That's definitely a huge element of that. But also there's a huge, I think people aren't realizing the level of influence of organized crime and how they are working hand in hand with the intelligence apparatus to effectively rig a lot of, I think this is a major racket, and it has been for probably since day one. And especially since, I mean, if you remember the Heidi Reichen example, right? Before she ever even goes to DC, whenever Nixon takes office and she takes over the Columbia Plaza operation for Joe Nesline, right? The organized crime liaison to the CIA at the time for plausible deniability. She was in Dallas before that, hanging around with all the usual suspects and going to the party the night before the Dallas assassination. And it turns out, what was she tasked with doing during her time in Dallas? And it should be mentioned, her father was Nazi SS U-boat captain. She comes over, Adel. I'm trying to remember her name, but it's very, very German. She speaks fluent German, and what's up the Dallas map? Oh yeah, I know about that because I had to talk about that. That was when the Luka trade happened. Essentially, she wanted to get gambling, and that's Miriam Adelson owning the Dallas Mavericks, and essentially being a major casino mogul. Obviously, that plays a huge part into that. But she wanted to get gambling legalized, essentially in Texas, right? And basically, at least that was a part of the reason why she was trying to leverage the state and the local government essentially to bend the knee. And when they refused to do so, she basically used her clout and her leverage in the organization because she didn't actually care about the final product, and she knew that she could orchestrate the first pick for that next year's draft as well. I think that was a huge kind of like agreed upon in the negotiation process. And so she traded, obviously she sent Luka to Los Angeles to the Lakers. And it was when the NBA's TV, basically their viewership was at an all-time low, or like basically dwindling very much so. And then this like triggered a resurgence in appeal and attraction for the league itself, because Luka's in LA now. And yeah, anyway, there's so much more to that. But the point that I was trying to make is that Heidi Reichen, she was tasked all the way back, in the 60s, and with essentially she had a black book, very much like Ghislaine Maxwell, and she was gathering priority targets that she was gathering blackmail on. And she had a list of people, and many of them were like Clint Murchison Sr., I believe, was one of them, who was an owner of the Dallas Cowboys or the Cleveland Browns, one of those teams, I can't remember. And then also a lot of professional athletes were also in the book itself. And so I forget which ones, they were very much prominent athletes. And the reason being was because the intelligence community and organized crime were rigging professional sports, and that was legitimately what they were doing. And so it's been a major racket.
Anything attached to gambling is dirty. What I'm saying?
For sure, dude. Did you see the compilation of Terry Rozier like throwing the games? It's the funniest thing ever watching these videos, dude. It's like there's no way a professional basketball player is that fucking bad. He's not even good at throwing a game though. But anyway.
Yeah, I was noticing the other day that I was watching Tubi, and I was noticing that every commercial break had a very similar theme. It was a drug commercial, some kind of prescription commercial, some gambling commercial, and then a mattress commercial. They're like, drug up, gamble, go to sleep.
Yeah, man.
Well, also mattresses, fronts for drugs and money laundering.
Dude,
And then
it's
they're
the
going
American
out of
dream.
Going out of business hell.
Gambling is big. I mean, I don't know. I never was big into sports gambling, but it does seem like that, or actually never really got into it at all. I never really got into sports ball particularly at all, but let alone gambling. But it does seem like that is a whole thing. I mean, hell, that's what's that fucking Barstool? That's like their whole thing, isn't it? Right? Like, it's wild what
sports betting is major.
Is that that Sunday's conversation guy that has that Sunday conversations? Is that dude?
Barstool, isn't that Dave Portnoy? I thought.
Yeah, that's Portnoy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
the ultimate Jew.
It's just astounding to me that someone could get this. Because like Barstool is like a whole national thing. It's got like subsidiaries and all over the place, I think. So it's just, to me, it's astounding that like this has been built itself out to this degree, to where it's even like literally like somebody like a Dave Portnoy has been like someone, you know, that I guess makes waves, I guess you could say, so far as socially. Yep. It's just weird that it's like to this point that like sports gambling is this, you know, I don't know, just to me, whereas for me, I see it, and it just kind of seems, I mean, whatever, maybe I'll upset some people, it kind of comes off as pathetic, frankly, to me. Like, that's how sports gambling comes off to me.
Did you see how sophisticated it was, though? Like, what they were allegedly using, these contacts that could see the cards, that it's so crazy. Like, legitimately, they were cheating in that way, to where they had legitimate contacts that were technologically advanced enough to where they could see through the back of the cards. And I'm not exact, like, it was highlighted in red what exactly the card was, and it's very interesting. I saw a few different pictures of those, and then also Sam pointed out to me on whatever this is that it was one of them, Sam or Brad, I can't remember which one. By the way, it's his birthday. Happy birthday, Sam! I love you, brother.
Happy birthday, Sammy.
And but yeah. They brought up the fact that when Chauncey Billups was publicly seen being apprehended, right, by the feds, he's wearing a Clutch Sports shirt, and they're like, "That's a veiled threat at LeBron James." You know what I'm saying? Like, and because essentially, there's a. But anyway, Damon Jones was another individual that's been sort of arrested as well, and he connects directly to LeBron. So they're saying, like, but of course, you know, the most prominent will not actually take any sort of fall for this, because it's all been arranged from the beginning, I think, to a certain extent. You know what this was, and this is also what it was represented in privately after the show. Sam mentioned the fact that this is sort of like, and I agreed wholeheartedly, I didn't even consider this concept, was that the FBI needs a win. So this is major public or publicity, positive publicity in terms of the FBI's cracking down, to, you know, to some extent, right? They get positive media spin, and they're very desperate for a win right now, coming off the back of the Epstein scandal and everything else, obviously, that's been happening with Charlie Kirk and shit. There's just, it's never ending, buddy.
All right, Shy, we're going to let you go. We got Bobo sitting in the wings ready to join us, shoot the shit. It was good talking to you, Shy. Come on anytime. Bobo, join us, you beautiful bastard. What's up, Bobo?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. What's up?
All right. Nothing much, man. I was just going to say, first off, hey, check in on your kind of normie friends. Mine was fucking trying to tell me that the UFO shit was going to happen at the Super Bowl today. I was like,
oh my God. I love it, dude.
Like this is the Fox. You know, you have your friends that you love to death, but they are the like conservative normie type. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was just like, yeah, y'all get ready to get fucked by the aliens on the Super Bowl. I was like, oh, great. Project Bluebeam is going full effect now. This is my gauge. This is my normie gauge. Okay, this is what's happening.
Right. Wasn't there a huge scandal on that retarded rapper that can't speak English? They fucking
that doesn't narrow it down at all, dude.
Who was that?
Oh yeah. What is his name? Hold on, I forgot it again because I never cared about him.
God,
you're not the Gucci Mane, are you?
No,
Gucci Mane?
No.
He's the gay black dude, right?
Oh, you
Bad
talking
Bunny,
about
right? Bad Bunny.
Oh, never mind. I'm thinking somebody else.
Wasn't that it? Bad Bunny. Hold on. Let me
Little
look it
Nas
up.
X. Little Nas X.
No.
Said gay graphic.
Yeah, I was thinking Lil Nas X too for some reason.
Yeah, it's Bad Bunny. It's Bad Bunny. Okay. He's the one who did that SNL skit where they it was a skit about he was so bad in it, but it was basically, what was that Korean that K-pop movie that just came out that was huge?
Demon Hunters?
Yeah. That was so they did a sketch on that, or a skit on that, and he was a part of it. It was so bad, but it was crazy because essentially one of the individual actors in the scene gets possessed by the devil and starts vomiting, bile. It wasn't the devil. It was actually some strange occult entity of some kind. I can't remember what they called it. I had it pulled up. We talked about it at some point. I can't remember when, but it's very interesting. I thought it was definitely worth mentioning. It reminded me of the Lady Gaga scene, right? Where they're in
Complete side tangent, and not at all in line. But I was just thinking of you the other day, Austin. I don't know if you've ever been a big anime guy, but I know you're a big cinema guy. You need to go check out. You need to check out the new Demon Slayer movie. Like, I don't know if you ever I don't know if you've ever watched any anime. You can probably not even watch it at all. But I do think that I'm telling you, that was one of the greatest cinematic experiences of my fucking life. Watching that movie, it was something. I don't know, something about anime in this new age and applying cinema. It's gonna be. I think it could be pretty exciting. But anyways, that's a side tangent. You mentioned Demon Hunters, okay, and that just made me think of that. And I was like, it was like one of the greatest fight things I've ever seen in my life. And honestly, like, emotionally, like, it probably will make you cry. Honestly, it's one of the best. It was fucking phenomenal. So just saying. I know you probably haven't watched the rest, but I know you're a cinema guy, so I'm like, and it is kind of weird that this is becoming a thing, and it's become the new cinema, or it looks like the future of cinema, because they can make it so much cheaper, and it's so good too, and it's so underutilized because you can do so much with it. But anyways, side tangent. Sorry.
One side thing, right? What does it take for Austin to cry? It shouldn't be much, right?
Just man. I'm a very emotional person, my friend. I love you too, brother. I can't help myself. My heart is on my sleeve. It always has been, brother.
You have a great heart.
Thank you.
Can I comment on something that you said, Jose?
Go for it.
About the Turkey Tom thing. I actually wanted to comment on that. This is like frustrating for a lot of people. I guess this is kind of generational disconnect. Is a lot of researchers, they like to go past the internet stuff because they kind of scoff at the idea of the internet serving as a radicalization platform. They kind of, I guess, it's a pride or ego thing for a lot of people, but I wouldn't undermine that in the whole like spree shooting issue, stuff like Kiwi Farms and locales and things like this really are a part of the cultural zeitgeist now. Internet culture is interfaced with the real world now, and like what Nick
real quick,
about.
Sorry, you can go back on that. I want to be very clear. I actually was not. I was trying to kind of leave both open because it's like, well, the example is, I'm actually completely in agreement with what you're saying. Like, this is something, there is an organic component. I do think there's obviously an artificial component to it, but I was more making the point that with that one, I believe what you may have mistaken for me maybe not giving credence to that was the idea that
some of your audience to that chat.
But anyway, I was just saying, for me at least, I was just saying that what we know is not on firm ground. It's just that Turkey Tom talked to a guy online. That's all it is. That I just want to make clear for those who want to be like, what, if you're trying to be like, hey, what information do we have that is on firm ground? This ain't it. This ain't it at all. That's kind of what all I was trying to say.
Part of like the whole thing, I think, the reason why the feds or like whomever are controlling is kind of like the internet, because there's always plausible deniability about the internet. You can always eschew stuff. They like to say that stuff on the internet is permanent, but really with the internet, they can play around with people's emotions, with the algorithm, and they can like implant kind of false sort of memories in people, imprint stuff into their minds. And I think that's why they kind of like the internet now. And that's why you see a lot of psyops kind of coming off the internet. And
Reddit is a psyop.
I mean, Kiwi Farms is a psyop. I mean, not many people are willing to admit that, but it is.
I'll be honest, I don't really entirely know what it is. I know it comes up a lot, but I don't do online stuff like that. So
I don't recommend diving in that cesspool. I don't recommend it, but I do know that the case with the Charlie Kirk, not him directly, but his Lance Twiggs, I know, was heavily involved with Chris Chan and Isabella Janke and the whole locale culture thing, which is kind of like widespread. It's big. It's ubiquitous everywhere.
Yeah. And apparently he was literally communing with his like AI, or at least according to this, he was communing with his AI. He's getting very deep into drugs. So obviously all of those things are behaviors that you can kind of spiral yourself down into some sort of insane psychotic behavior, which is what he seemingly did, especially if you get into things like math or something like that, which I don't even know particularly what drugs he was doing. I don't even know if it really, in that expose, I don't remember if I guess Adderall was one of them, which I guess Adderall is basically just math. So like,
a nerd drug. It's a nerd
Yeah.
drug.
So it totally checks out that this would be like you could totally just spin out, but then kind of to the point of like I guess the spicy internet things. Apparently, also I think there's something to. I mean, we might find something if there is any truth to this stuff. I think we might find out that there was some. I mean, maybe you can call me say I'm judgmental, but just like judging by just kind of, I guess the groups that Twigs was running through and whatever. It's kind of like I don't know. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if there was some bizarre sexual stuff going on that perhaps could be used against someone. I guess would be a way to put it. I mean, we've already had we had the Zin guy with the CP. We had go ahead. What are you gonna say, Austin?
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to cut you off. It made me think of the idea that clearly there was an element to essentially methamphetamine being a part of the trade in essentially some of the police officers. I found out one of the major investigators that was tasked with even conducting an internal investigation on sort of the ethical and moral corruption involved in the Columbine case, which is even worse because this guy was fully compromised. And I think it was John Sullivan, I believe was his name. But he inevitably later on in like 2011, I think it was, if I remember correctly. So he's like this paragon of
by the way, not to cut you off, but we have a caller, just so you know. But go ahead. Whenever you get to a point, we do have a caller. It'll be the last thing for today, I think. So, but go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, he's like this beacon of morality, right? And in reality, years later, we find out he's trading methamphetamine for sex, and he gets caught up on these charges. So it's clearly that was already happening. Plus, we have the Nathan Johnson, the adult pizza delivery driver, who was obviously cooking meth. They had a mobile lab and everything. Who was involved in the Barack Obama assassination attempt in 2008, but it made sense as far as if they could have, maybe they could have incentivized the kids, as fucked up as that sounds, in some way by potentially grooming them and providing them with methamphetamine, getting them strung out to a certain extent, and then having some sort of sexual interaction with them in a transaction for more meth. I mean, that's how it happens. And so many of the young traumatized boys that I've listened, not just boys, but that I've, done, just investigated their cases. That was how they groomed
You've
them.
done meth with.
Just shit. Dude, hey, man, we're not going to discuss. That's so hilarious. But honestly, I do believe that's a factor, in terms of, how they do incentivize these poor children into becoming willing to engage in something as deviant as, let's just say, anal sex, right? Which is legitimately what I think was attached with Detective or Sheriff's Deputy Tim Walsh in terms of Columbine, right? So anyway,
but
it's terrible to
what
say.
A great way to end it. Let's bring in the caller.
Hey, Austin, your episode was good.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I love you, man. I appreciate you.
Love you too. No homo.
All right, we're bringing on
homo.
All right, we're bringing on the caller, Jacob. Who we got?
We have Jared on the line. Jared, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
What is up, my dude? Is this a Jared I just had on the other day? Are we about to go hard on the Jays? What's up?
Yeah, that was kind of the plan. I actually wanted to discuss the idea.
I love it, dude.
All right, Doc. It sounds like you wanted Tara to talk about Marx, is what it sounds like to me.
Oh, Lord.
Uh-oh.
Lord.
Perhaps. I don't know. Maybe I'm maybe I'm reading too much into this.
Okay,
What's up?
I mean, what's your beef with Marx? That he's a Satanist? Are you the guy that made a comment in the chat?
He's a Freemason.
Okay. So were a lot of people. Goethe was a Freemason. Oh, hold a minute. Goethe was a Freemason. A lot of your favorite Nazis probably were Freemasons too, believe it or not.
I'm not a Nazi. I actually think Hitler was helping the Jews. I'm of the understanding that Hitler was taking the Jews far away from the war, put them in Polish summer camps where they had maternity wards, swimming pools, orchestras.
Oh, wow. I'm not getting
gas
into that,
chambers
bro.
never existed.
I'm not getting into that.
So it's
I'm
not
staying
that
away
Hitler
from
was,
that. I ain't
not that
touching
Hitler was a
that.
good guy. He was a bad guy because he was helping the Jews. But
I'm not
Karl
getting
Marx's
into that.
original name is Moses Mordecai Levy.
Well,
His most
actually,
famous photo is
actually, well, that's not true. First of all, Marx was raised a Protestant. He was assimilated German Jew. Yes, I know he was a
his
Semite, as
father.
you're going to say.
His
He
father.
actually wrote. Okay, he wrote.
Well, if I
He
can,
wrote large amounts
go ahead.
of tracts on why he thought the Jews, quote unquote, his own people, were their own manifestation was money. Okay, so Marx was kind of an anti-Semite himself, and kind of a self-loathing Jew, if you ask me. That's what a lot of like communists don't tell you firsthand. But I will tell you this: go read Marx's *The World Without Jews*. You'll see that he clearly has some critique on his own group of people. And with that said, I'm going to say one thing. I think in many ways, the so-called anti-Semitism that is being fomented online is largely reactionary and is largely used against like people to scapegoat, okay, yes, and to obfuscate a lot of the issues that are pertinent right now in society. I think the whole rise of the JQ stuff, which I saw it rise from 2016, I used to believe in it myself. Go examine it. A lot of the Jews themselves, they like it, especially the Kahanist. Go look up Mayor Kahan. He's a fascist. Go look up other Jews. They sided with Mussolini. They like to obfuscate the whole entire thing.
You do got to let the caller get in, and let's
okay.
I know. To be fair, I know. I mean, I'm not like close friends with Jared, but he's reasonable. I think we can have a back and forth.
I didn't mean to crash out, but I've heard these arguments.
So, Jared, we're just go wherever you want to go with it. Go ahead, bud.
Go ahead.
Sure. First off, one of the most famous photos of Karl Marx is doing the sign of the Master Maker, the second veil, the hidden hand, with his hand tucked into his coat. Lenin was a Jew. The Bolsheviks killed roughly 60,000 Christians under the guise of communism, the purpose of which was to overthrow the monarchy and establish a Jewish world order in Russia. Putin's grandfather was a cook for Lenin. His mother was a Jew. So I believe, based on my research and study, because my expertise is the Jew, and I've been studying this, not just conspiracies and the parapolitical world for 20 plus years. Jews have been my emphasis because I do come at this perspective from a Christian. I am biased in saying that. I do have my proclivities and leanings. So I believe that Jews...
You know when I can respond.
Let's let him finish. You did talk for a while. Go ahead, bud.
Okay, my bad.
Okay, go ahead. Do you want to...
I just want to say that I lean towards the idea that although his father technically converted to Christianity, I don't believe that Jews convert, they subvert. And Marx's financier was a Jew, and communism is Jewish at its core. Engels, correct. Jews are very open about this.
He wasn't
The book was printed in London. Some say that even the Rothschilds were funding it. And the idea being that eventually the state owns everything. Like when they broke up the Soviet Union, the people who became the richest and largest benefactors of the breakup, for instance, when Gazprom was sold by the state, it went to Roman Abramovich, a Jew. And it's quite clear when you look at how they sliced up the pie, it was Russian Jews that benefited from communism.
All right, can I respond?
Yeah, let's go for it, bud. I think it sounds like you came to end.
First of all, let me just say, in any regime change, there's always people who get murdered. There's always unfortunate people, unfortunate circumstances that persist. You can find this with any sort of regime change when it comes to politics, even democracy. Everybody gets eventually the short end of the stick when it comes to a lot of different drastic regime change. As far as the Bolsheviks primarily were Russians. They were not Jews. There were only 9 people in the Bolsheviks that were Jews, 9 officers. They were also very anti-Semitic. There were pogroms even up to the time of the takeover of a lot of the Bolsheviks. The Soviet Union in itself, contrary to what people say, was not very enthusiastic towards Jews. They actually isolated them and put them into certain categorization. You know, the whole triple parentheses that people like TRS and the rest of these alt-right people like to do, that was installed under the Bolsheviks, continued by Stalin. So a lot of this stuff that I see circulating around is CIA propaganda that was circulated around by the World Anti-Communist League and these various other people. And yes, the parapolitical community should thank me for actually putting this stuff out here, because a lot of these people just read David Duke, or they read various different propaganda because the JQ is quite popular online, and I've read it all, I've heard it all. A lot of it is not factual, but I mean, it's
why did Russia create a Jewish autonomous region prior to the creation of the state of Israel? If they didn't like Jews, why would they give them their own policy?
They had a policy where they segregated various different minority groups that were part of their regime. They were part of their regime. And by the way, I don't have a dog in the fight with the Soviets. You'll find with a lot of different Marxists, we have different views and different opinions about the Soviet state. A lot of people are actually divided on Trotsky and also Stalin. A lot of people are Marxist-Leninists. So it ain't one garden variety of Marxist. And I've had these discussions over and over again with fascists, Nazis, other Marxist-Leninists, parapolitical people, etc. So I've had this discussion, and I'm sorry if I'm sounding a little bit frustrated. I've just heard these sort of as nauseam kind of comments.
I don't have any political. I don't have any political affiliations. I lean neither right nor left. I've never voted in my life because I believe it's fake and gay. I also understand that Karl Marx was a homosexual. And,
hey, bro. I do. Hold up. We should bridge the gap here. I think we should bridge the gap into some sort of I don't know territory where I think we could all agree, let's say, and it always seems to manifest itself at the crossroads of.
You want to end it on agreement? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Are we in agreement? Is not Marx a Jew?
Well,
what did we come to?
I don't think we're ever. I don't. What the fuck, dude? That's the exact opposite of what I was trying to do. Jose.
All right. We came to agreement. He's a Jew. We can move on.
Oh my god! I think this debate and argument can be had, essentially ad infinitum, or however you would say that. You know what I mean, for eternity.
I love this show.
And so I just I'm sure we can all agree that there seems to be a very well-established and firmly entrenched hidden hand that's disrupting all of modern society and seemingly, kind of perfectly implementing a lot of the social engineering and this sort of this layered predictive programming where we all seem to be falling into these ideological camps and then digging ourselves in, which is just, it's never going to lead to any sort of, fundamental change for the better, which, I don't have much. Well, I won't say that, but I will say that I would imagine we can all agree that clearly there seems to be some type of clandestine operation where they are staging sleeper cells of programmed Manchurians that they can greenlight at any given moment to help further, kind of leverage the strategy of tension against, the general public. And and so anyway, I feel as if, and I was going to show, it's just like literally 1 minute long, the video that I was going to show of Derren Brown that was essentially,
let's
we
finish
don't
on that
have to,
video.
but we can if you want.
Would it make good outro content?
I
Play
think
this
so,
as,
because it's not very long at all, and it's honestly what he's doing here is basically he's conducting a social behavioral experiment in order to oppose these psychiatric experts and experts in hypnotism and things of that nature, who have said many times in the past that essentially Sirhan could not have been a mind-controlled, programmed Manchurian candidate when he fired it at RFK in the pantry of the Ambassador Hotel. And so he ends up getting 4 volunteers that he specifically hypnotizes in order to demonstrate that this is possible, and people are very, very much susceptible to hypnotic suggestion. And so he gets 4 volunteers from a studio audience, and then he essentially he has them he picks one man from this
Austin,
group of
real
4.
quick, it's awkward because we have a caller still here. I appreciate your time, caller. We're gonna let you go. Actually, we'll go ahead and cut off all the callers. We'll finish this off. We'll come to a wrap. Appreciate Bobo. Appreciate the caller. Appreciate
Love
you,
you,
Jared.
Bobo.
But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I just realized he was sitting there. He's probably got a phone to his ear. But go ahead.
My bad.
I just want to say thank you guys for having me. And,
by the way, Jared, thanks for the conversation, bro. Listen to my podcast if you could, even if you don't like me, even if you think I'm a dirty commie.
Appreciate you, Jared.
I'll give it a piece.
Jared.
It's
good to meet you.
Thank you. Have a good one, gentlemen.
You too, man.
See you, brother.
All right. Hey, I just wanted to say, great episode with the Columbine. It reminded me, everyone needs to learn basic first aid.
Yeah, right. That wasn't that so crazy. Oh my god.
Yeah, that reminded me. I need to redo that again. It's been a couple of years for just basic and advanced first aid. Second thing, get fit. Third thing, carry a firearm on you. All right, y'all take care now.
All right, we'll see you, buddy. All right, back to where you were, Austin, and I guess you can set up that video for an outro. So once you set it up, we'll do plugs, and then we'll play that video for an outro.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's just, it's valuable as just the concept alone, and it kind of reinforcing the notion that this is clearly, now we obviously agree, but it's a very plausible outcome in terms of so many of these suggestible minds that are molded into place and then strategically become assets and all of this. So mainly what he was attempting to do here is that he chose one out of the group of 4, like I mentioned, and he essentially, through weeks of conditioning, right, he decides to have this mental conditioning and all this strange shit. The individual target was allegedly Stephen Fry, this comedian, right? You'll know him if you see him. He's interesting. But this is called Derren Brown and the Experiment. It's called The Assassin, essentially. And so basically, this is very interesting, and you have to watch it because, again, it's just imagine actually going through this process and then not knowing which of the group of 4 were actually legitimately programmed when they were in the hypnotic trance state. And that's essentially what happened right through the course of the experiment, was that out of the group of 4, they all were put into hypnotic trances, or induced into this hypnotic mindset, hypnotized, and essentially then they were either, so like I said, one of them was given the legitimate programming. And so this is where I kind of think it's very much just it's hard. I think it's hard for anyone to even imagine what would happen if you were shown a video of you just normally sitting in an audience and just kind of watching a performance or a show, and then you hear your trigger word that essentially triggers you into your layered programming, and you just ever so calmly just pull out this suitcase below your seat and pull out a gun with blanks in it and attempt to assassinate the individual on stage, right, who is the priority target, without blinking an eye, and then sit back down and proceed as normal. the rest of it was just so strange that so after this all happens, the next day I believe he's brought in and Derren Brown shows him the video, right? And basically he says, do you remember any of this? Obviously, because as he's watching it, he's like, yeah, I remember, getting there, sitting down, watching the show, when it all went great. And then clearly he's shown what really took place, and his eyes alone, I legitimately believe that it was not some sort of scripted performance. You know what I'm saying? Which is the only thing that would give me pause. But anyway, I'll share it real quick.
Yeah. Well, let's. Like I said, we're gonna play that as an outro. So real quick, let's do plugs, and then we'll drop that as an outro, and we'll see you guys next week at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on your favorite weekly conspiracy show. Doc, where can people find you at?
Or you can find me on YouTube under Demento Mori, and also at Demento on Twitter. And check out my podcast. It's coming soon. It's kind of in a hiatus right now, but I'm definitely going to fire it up soon, where I discuss apocalypticism, parapolitics, crime, and all the elements we talked about here. And plus the guy Jared, I recommend you listen sometime and even call in and debate me, bro.
Austin.
All right, guys, you already know. Check out the episode. If you enjoy it, share it, obviously. And but I very much appreciate you guys listening in general and engaging with my content. So I can't thank you enough. And it's nothing but love. And Jose will have to get back on that Dutroux case at some point here soon. But beyond that, I feel like finally my life can resume at a certain level. So yeah, but I do also feel extraordinarily exhausted psychologically. So I'm kind of there's a hangover for a certain period of time. But anyway, nothing but love for all of you. I couldn't be more grateful, and clearly the best place to support me is my Patreon, patreon.com/the Underclass Podcast. And we just did episode 33 of whatever this is. And I was so fried, like mentally, that I forgot how old I was, dude. Like legitimately, like Brad asked me, and I was like, I think I'm 32. And then I was like, babe, how old am I? She's like 33, and I was like, yeah, I'm 32. And so I straight up lied. But anyway, so yeah, check that out. But but I love you, brother.
I love you too, man. Appreciate you. For those who want to support,
and thank you, Doc. Okay. I have to say that. I meant to say that as well.
Thank you, by the way, for both you and Jose for bringing me on. I do appreciate this, guys. So thank you a bunch, 100%.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on.
You're a wealth of knowledge, man, and I would love to have a conversation with you in the future for sure. So it's good talking with you, brother.
For those who want to support what I do, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can find this show on YouTube, Rumble, all the audio podcatchers. You can follow this show on Twitter as well, at Tower Gang. Jose is where you can find me. If you want to support the show, you can go over to patreon.com/nowayjose2020. You also got the QR code up here. Actually, I don't know. Is it up right now? I shouldn't have it up. I need to take it down for these shows. It's weird since we both are using this. But anyways, I do have the QR code up. I'll probably stop taking this down for these already dead ones. But either way, patreon.com/nowayjose2020. The lowest level gives you access to a whole host of perks. You get access to 1 to 2 paywalled episodes per week. Usually keep about 4 behind the paywall. You get access to the Telegram. You get access to the ad-free RSS feed, to the pre-show, the post-show, and video calls for this very show, Already Dead, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And I give a big shout out to my sponsors for their support, and my previous co-hosts on Tower Gang, at Learn to Toad, also at Abrogate D's, at ZOVRCK, at _Invisiel, Tim Tuttle, at Jolly on Klebold, big fan of the show, Torrin May, at Wayne Taculus, 1-800-CARS for Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, and Mark Vestibule. And with that, guys, we're going to get out of here. Enjoy this beautiful outro. We'll see you guys next week, and we'll hang out with the patrons in the after show.
Hell yeah, buddy. I guess I have to remove us.
Yeah.
One second. Stephen, I forget.
Explain what's going on here. This is the culmination of quite a few months' work to see whether it's a gentleman called Chris, who's currently in a hypnotic trance, see whether it's possible to hypnotically program a person to kill. Anything strange happened during the talk? No. We actually had a camera on you. I know we didn't let you know that we were filming, which was important. Remember that woman in the polka dot dress? No. Don't remember turning around talking to you? No. Remember that bit? No. Yes, at the moment you will have no memory of the storm, but you just assassinated a national treasure.
You shot me.